Working from 6 in the evening until 2 in the morning on my feet the entire time in heels was enough to cause me agony. The moment I stepped into the dressing room and kicked off my shoes, I released a moan, right along with half the other waitresses. Before I even started changing into my street clothes, I sat on the bench in front of my locker and started rubbing the arches of my feet on the tennis balls I kept to help with the pain. While everyone else rushed to get out of their uniforms, I just sat there with my eyes closed as I tried to release as much of the ache from my feet and toes as possible. Eventually, my stomach started to grumble, and I began to yawn. Tossing the yellow balls into the bottom of the locker, I exchanged my work clothes for a thick sweater, jeans, and the coat I'd found for a steal at a thrift store a few blocks from my apartment. Once my sneakers were tied up, I slipped my hands into the thin gloves I'd bought at the same shop as the coat, and then placed earmuffs over my ears. They were childish, with little pink kitten ears on the top, but I'd gotten them for $2. Ready for the cold, late December weather of NYC, I grabbed my crossbody and slung it over my shoulder before using my foot to close the locker door. I didn't keep my tips in my bag, but in the bottom of my shoes, something Kim had also taught me after I'd gotten my purse snatched the second week I'd lived with her. But that was back when I worked at the diner close to our apartment, so the thief hadn't gotten nearly as much of my hard-earned cash as he would have if he'd taken it after one of my shifts at Cherry Bomb. My stomach was starting to growl louder, and my mind was on the cup of instant noodles I planned on making as soon as I got home. Licking my lips at the thought of food, I walked out the back door, giving the bouncer a nod when he called a good night. I lifted my hand, ready to flag down a taxi. It would have been cheaper to take a bus, and because it was before 5 in the morning, I could have asked the driver to drop me off at the corner where my apartment was. But I was exhausted and decided that the cab fare was worth it to get home faster so I could fill my empty stomach sooner. But instead of one of the yellow cabs stopping for me, a huge black SUV braked right in front of me,